for chairman of the school committee.
Second.
All those in favor? I'll nominate Mrs. Hennessy as vice chairman.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'd like to nominate Mrs. Davidson as secretary.
Second. All those in favor? Okay. And now on to the rest of the reorganization. Mrs. Davidson and Dr. Morrow Small for sick leave committee, Dr. Morrow Small on the wellness committee, Dr. Morrow Small and Mrs. Hennessy on the alcohol and drug violation subcommittee, Mrs. Hennessy the athletic department liaison, Mrs. Maroney fiscal policy committee, Mrs. Davidson and Mrs. Bissonette, welcome Mrs. Bissonette, to the WRPS TV community broadcasting liaison, Mrs. Bissonette early graduation, Mrs. Hennessy cable advisory committee, Mrs. Maroney budget subcommittee chairman, Mrs. Davidson and Mrs. Bissonette energy subcommittee, Mrs. Maroney and Mrs. Hennessy teachers collective bargaining subcommittee, Mrs. Davidson and Mrs. Bissonette secretaries for the collective bargaining subcommittee, Dr. Morrow Small and Mrs. Hennessy custodian collective bargaining subcommittee, Mrs. Davidson and Dr. Morrow Small for the cafeteria personnel collective bargaining subcommittee, Mrs. Maroney and Mrs. Hennessy on the paraprofessional collective bargaining subcommittee, Mrs. Maroney and Mrs. Bissonette on the daycare collective bargaining subcommittee, and we will follow Robert's rules motion. Nothing under audience. We'll go to reports. We have financial reports for the school department, Rockland High School student activities, Rogers Middle School student activity, and the food services.
4 motions to approve.
And 4 seconds.
All those in favor?
Did we already do
Oh, no, I skipped them. Thanks, Jane. Under acceptance of minutes, we have the minutes for the meeting of April 8th.
Motion to approve.
And a second.
All those in favor? That's a vote. Now we'll get on to the fun part of our meeting, the curriculum corner with Eston Early Childhood Center, Principal Mrs. Sheehan, with Heather McDonald, Celine Texeria, Jessica Medeiros, Janice Freitas, Tracy Johnson, and Beth Peckham. I'm sorry if I've messed up your names.
Thank you, Jill. So we wanted to present tonight Eston Early Childhood Center, since it's the first year of its creation in Rockland. And collectively, we all came together with Alan and Jane guiding us to create this wonderful learning environment for our little people. So Eston Early Childhood Center has 247 students in preschool, pre-K, kindergarten. There are 3 half-day integrated preschool classrooms, 2 full-day integrated pre-kindergarten classrooms, 9 full-day universal kindergarten classrooms, 2 substantially separate programs, and 2 half-day substantially separate programs for special education students. So that's our structure. But how we begin at Eston is with our early intervention, and Heather McDonald is the early intervention coordinator, so I'm going to have her step forward.
Hello, thank you guys so much for this opportunity. I'm going to speak today just briefly about our preschool program, which is a program that is very small, so not everyone really kind of knows a lot about it, so I'm happy to explain. I'm a part-time early childhood coordinator as well as one of the half-time substantially separate teachers. And our program is a special ed program, and it services both typically developing children and children with special needs from the ages of 3 to 5 years old. So the program is a language-based program. Activities are designed to address appropriate developmental levels for each child. And we follow special education law, so students who may be eligible for special ed services can be referred by early intervention. So they may receive those services, right out of the hospital. They may be picked up when they're 1 or 2 years old. There can't be a gap in those services, so we do our evaluations so that they go right from early intervention services right into our program. And that could be a walk-in speech service, that could be a spot in an integrated program, or if the needs are more significant, they could be placed in a substantially separate program. They receive therapies either in an individual basis or in group. All of our teachers are special ed certified, and we follow guidelines from the state. So all of our integrated programs have a ratio of 7 students that are on IEPs and 8 peer partners. And then we also have the same ratio within our full-day pre-K model as well. And our substantially separate programs right now house about 5 to 6 children with a teacher and a paraprofessional. A big part of our work is that evaluation process. So this year, our team has completed 31 evaluations as of today. Of those 31 evaluations, 24 children were found eligible for special education services, and that is a number that has grown substantially over the past 3 years. We still have evaluations to complete because these children require services on their 3rd birthday. So we have 13 evaluations to complete before the end of the school year. Some of these parents, will say that they want to opt out of evaluations, but for the most part, we work well with early intervention. Our team does their evaluation, and then we do our IEP eligibility process. So that's just kind of a quick look at preschool, and I'm turning it over to. Oh, you're coming.
So after some students participate in our Rockland preschool, we come together now as a whole district with Universal Kindergarten. Universal Kindergarten brings students collectively from across the district from every place. They could be coming from home, they could be coming from a daycare setting, in-home daycare, a facility. Some students have come from Social Autism Center, and we knew nothing about them because they never went through the preschool early intervention process. So in kindergarten, they're coming to us, and we're just figuring them all out. So we have a MTSS, multi-tiered system of support leadership team, and we meet weekly. So every week we meet, we sit down, we discuss kids, we look at kids, and we look at them through different lenses. So the leadership team, I'm on it, obviously. Heather's on it, giving us a lens and a perspective from the preschool, the students that she has been working with. Beth Peckham is our school psychologist. Tracy Johnson is our adjustment counselor. Selena Texera is our behaviorist. Janice Freight's our academic interventionist. And Jess Medeiros is our multi-language teacher. So the framework, this is the DESE, the Department of Education framework. And they want us to view children through these 3 lenses: academically, behaviorally, and social emotionally. So it's universal design for learning, and for us to do a tier system of support. So universal support would be tier 1 instruction. Everyone needs that. Everyone gets that. We want to strengthen that the most when we look at instruction. And then if students need more than what we're giving them in tier 1, we go to a tier 2 model, and that's targeted support. Direct skills that they need a little more time to develop. So we give them multiple opportunities. We'll do that in tier 1. Then there's extensive in tier 3. Those are students that need another layer. And that's because of less opportunities they may have had coming into kindergarten. So the more opportunities we can give them in kindergarten, then the more successful they're going to be going into 1st grade. Oops, I just skipped right by that. So that's the definition from DESE on multi-tiered systems of support, which I already told you, but it's data-driven. We look at data all the time. We're assessing and progress monitoring throughout the year to make sure students are successfully getting the targeted instruction that they need. So our kindergarten profile for this year, we had 162 students come in. We had 21 of them impacted by trauma of some sort. 3 have a loss of a parent. We have 42 bi or trilingual families. We have 9 single-parent homes. We have 13 students that are split between 2 households throughout the week. We have 3 homeless. We have 8 on the autism spectrum, and we have 9 with medical diagnoses. So it's not just your typical child walking in. There are children with needs. So with this, we give equitable access to all children, and that's what we're trying to do, make it equitable across the board. It's their first time coming to school, their first year of learning school, and we're giving them as much opportunity to learn and grow and be successful and ready for Phelps when they go into 1st grade. So Janice Freites is our academic interventionist, so I'm going to pass it over to Janice.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us. I'm going to echo a little bit about what Jan said. Kindergarten is such a unique grade because of the 170 kids in front of us, we only knew about 35 of them. 35 of them attended our preschool, but that means 130 didn't. So we have kids coming, like Jan said, from private preschools, from early intervention, daycares, babysitters, schools in other countries, no school at all, just like a myriad of experiences. If you think about first grade, 95% of their population went through us. So they're all coming kind of from an even playing field. Our kids are not. So we can go to the next one. And again, to echo a little bit about what Jan said, MTSS is rooted in proactivity and prevention and relies on data. Early identification of students at risk for difficulty is the central goal of MTSS. So as Jan said, all students get that tier 1 and, oh, yep, there we are. That's us, yep, during our intervention. So tier 1 instruction, all students are exposed to tier 1 instruction, quality curriculum. And for those that need an extra dose, they get tier 2 instruction. So for the beginning of the school year through February, I push into each classroom at their designated WIN block time. So WIN is an acronym for what I need. And I work with students who scored below level on our literacy screener. All of our intervention consists of evidence-based practices. So I'll be working with kids, the classroom teacher's working with kids at their exact level, the classroom paras are supporting kids, and the ESL teachers are often at the same time working with kids. So at any given time, 4 to 5 small groups of instruction are happening in that classroom simultaneously, and every single student is getting exactly the instruction they need at that time. The model now, towards the end of the year, is we've kind of separated out who needs a little bit more. So now I'm pulling out those students who continue to score below level on our screeners. And there's a similar model for math intervention as well, where the math interventionists and the ESL tutor often push into the classrooms and work with those kids who are scoring below level on the math screener. Go to the next one. So here's kind of the most recent data. In October, the data from our literacy screener showed that 69 out of almost 170 students were below level and in need of tier 2 intervention. That's roughly 41% of our population. After analyzing our most recent data, which came at the end of February, 22 of these students reached grade level benchmarks. So they don't need that anymore, and we're down to 47 students in tier 2, which is roughly 28% of our population. And of those 47 students currently in tier 2, 20 are Ls. So just an interesting stat there. Math intervention, we started our math intervention in November. 33 students were placed in tier 2 for scoring below level on the math screener. And now we just had our most recent math data meeting the Friday before vacation, and we're now down to 21 students who continue to need tier 2 math support. So we're trending in the right direction with all of this.
Hello, everyone. Jess Medeiros. Hi, Michelle. Myself and Michelle used to be neighbors when we were at MP together. So during the kindergarten registration, at the end of the previous school year and the beginning of this school year, we had 42 families who report on their home language survey that they speak another language or multiple languages at home. So anybody that has had a parent or guardian fill out that information has to be screened for English services. And it's using a WIDA screener that's specific to kindergarten. So in the fall, we only screen for listening and speaking skills, and 29 of those 42 qualified for services. 16 of those 29 were a level 1, meaning having no prior English instruction before coming to school. So those numbers weigh heavily on our staff, on our population, and as Janice just said, a lot of my students, our students at Eston need extra support. because they are learning English along with learning the other curriculums in school. The bottom just says we had a couple move-ins, only one was screened and qualified. And then what's interesting about kindergarten is that because the students might not have been exposed to reading and writing before coming to kindergarten, we can re-screen them using the reading and writing portion of the WEDA screener in January. So 2 of those 13 students who didn't qualify previously qualified it was like right before December break, so going into January. And that's based on their struggles in intervention groups and in the classroom. The teachers recommended maybe it wasn't just struggles academically, but maybe they also needed more English support. So our current standings, we have 30 EL students, and me, just me. So here are just some videos. These were from a while ago, but it's just so interesting to see different student profiles, how we said that just kids come, we don't know where they come from, especially coming into kindergarten. And these 2 students had very similar profiles, and it's so interesting to see the progress that each one has made. They've made great progress in their own ways, of course, but these 2 students had very similar backgrounds where they did not come from a school. They came recently within the last couple months from Brazil, and I played the same game with them, and it's interesting to see how some kids adapt and the progress that they make. So we can play that. I think somebody else has it.
Today? Yes.
It's just real kindergarten here.
The first thing that we're going to do on this paper is you're going to write your name with a pencil, please. Can you do that for me?
Real life snapping at the other kids too.
There you go. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of these dice. Can you say that? Dice. Good. Which one do you want? This one. What color is that? Green. Green. Okay. So the first thing you will do, you will roll the dice. And what number is that? 1. Okay, so you find 1 on here. Which one of those is 1? This. 1. Now you go to this first letter. What letter is that? E. What sound does E make? N. A. Right. E. And A. Now you get to color in the E. Good work. Just like this. Looks great. Okay, you get to roll again. Ooh, what number is that? 6. Where do you see 6? All the way over there. And that is the letter that you will work on. What letter is that? D. What sound does D make? D. You are so good. Do you know any words that start with D? Derek, honey, voice is quiet, okay? Do you know any words that start with D? What sounds with the D? What starts with the D sound? Like dog. Yeah. What else? What else? What other things start with D? Anything else? What about, does donut start with the D sound? Does cat start with the D sound? No. Does door start with the D sound? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's take one more roll. What number is that? 1. So you already did this one. Now you get to go to that one. Oh, no! D again! And what sound does that letter make?
So this is the same exact game, and she has actually played this multiple times already. But still, she just needs so much more English instruction.
Can you take your finger? Yep. E, C, T, E, F, G, H, I, O-P-Q-R-S-T-U-V-W-X-Y-Z. There we go. Okay. So we need a dice. What is this?
Yellow.
You want yellow? Can you say, I want yellow? I, ill in English. I want yellow. Good. Here you go. Say, what color do you want? I want this color. What color is this? Blue. I want blue. Okay. Are you going to go first or should I go first? You or me? Who's going to go first? You or me? You? Mine? All right, roll your dice. Ooh, what number is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Good job. Now find 6 on the bottom. Where is 6? There we go. So you need to do this letter. What letter is that? Use the chart to help you. So the belly is going the other way. So it's not this one, it's the other one. Can you find the other letter? So it's not B. Look, it's going this way. It's this one. D, dog, D. Okay, color it in. What color will you use?
Bank.
Okay.
Cadê o rosa, Miss Maria?
You need pink?
Sim.
See if there's a pink in here. Okay.
So I was in January, and they're both now trying to decode CVC words. So that's great. Making progress. Take a lot of work, though.
Okay, Elisa, we are going.
I guess we don't have mine. Bye-bye. There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Selena. I'm the behaviorist and the social emotional coach. With all the success we've had in our school, we're so proud to say that we are a pyramid model school. Those of us who've worked in the district for a long time, elementary school is a PBIS school. Some of our moms here, the kids would come home with paws. PBS is a precursor to PBIS. It's more developmentally appropriate. So a lot of our kids, this common language, everything there's learning will transition beautifully into Phelps Elementary School. So what is PBIS? I'm sorry, PBS. Again, effective classroom management and positive behavior supports. We all know that they are essential for supporting teaching and learning. Dysregulated children cannot learn. Right, that's proven, there's no doubt about that. Schools can maximize success for all students when we need to develop multi-tiered systems that are data-driven and responsive to student needs. We emphasize that classroom management and positive behavior supports must be integrated and aligned with effective academic instruction, so it's embedded in everything we do. Our behavior, we walk in if a student is having challenging time during our EL services, any time they're being pulled out for any type of supports. If they need it, we go in, observe, and support. And the goal also is to establish positive, safe, and supportive school climate that is culturally sustaining. We are very sensitive to the cultural piece, the climate, the culture of our building, and our students, and the culture of our students. So we do have, it is a multi-tiered framework of evidence-based practices, and it does promote the social, emotional, and behavioral development of young children. Some of the pieces to PBS, because we include developing meaningful relationships with children and their families, very, very important. We communicate with families every day. as needed. They text us, we text them, they call, whatever is needed. Our students and their emotional well-being is our priority. Establishing schedules and routines is paramount because our students, well, we know they need predictability, correct? We have our day planners. We need to be able to predict what's happening next. Our students are the same thing. If they're not able to predict, then we may see some dysregulation. So routines, schedules, very, very important. Providing clear directions and expectations. We work on being safe, respectful, and responsible and safe. And we transitioned to that to our elementary school, Phelps, which have this similar expectations. So the language is the same. We're teaching what it means to be safe in the classroom, safe in the hallway, safe in the lunchroom, what does it all look like. We teach those behaviors. The first 6 weeks of school, it's all about teaching those expected behaviors in each domain. So then we reinforce those behaviors. We don't reinforce until we teach. We're reinforcing along the way, but really positively reinforcing when they do have those behaviors down. We encourage appropriate strategies for communicating emotions. As we all know, little ones have big emotions. How many people, well, you all have had little ones. You know how emotions can be very, very big. And promoting children's emotional regulation. I always say, this is what we do. We regulate, no, we relate, we regulate, we reintegrate on repeat. And that's what we do all day long, right? We relate to the child, we regulate their behavior, then we reintegrate. It's all about maintaining these behaviors in the classroom. We are pushing into the classroom because that is where their peer group is, that's where they're going to learn the best, and that's where they want to be, and that's important. They don't want to be with an adult, they want to be with their peer group. So reintegration is very, very important. And then we monitor. Then we're on call for the repeat. And teaching children to problem solve, that's a big piece. A lot of our kids, don't know how to problem solve when situations arise, so we do a lot of teaching. We have visuals, we use Tuck a Turtle, we use a lot of different strategies to teach problem solving. We have problem solving toolkits. And then we also provide intensive individualized supports when when children have challenging behavior, because we still have that 3 to 5% who still need that tier 3. We are a multi-tiered level of support. Pyramid model supports, we use data for decision making, and we do foster inclusion. It's all about being in the classroom. Okay, let's see. Our tier 1, everyone gets our tier 1, right? We do this for everyone, it's universal. We're in the classroom, we're teaching behavior expectations, we're reinforcing, we're doing it all. When you move up to a tier 2, well, let me go back to this, I'm sorry. So the pyramid, when you see the bottom tier, effective workforce, I love that tier, effective workforce. That is our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our support staff, our therapists, amazing support staff, amazing teachers and paraprofessionals. And we are proud to say that during the PDs, we've done a lot of training in pyramid model practices. We have an external coach that comes in from DESE. She trains all our paras on pyramid model practices, best teaching practices, age appropriate, developmentally appropriate, and then we move into nurturing and supportive environments. If our children don't feel safe, they'll never learn the way we want them to learn. So that is a priority. Making our students feel safe is key, and we work very hard to do that, safe and nurturing environments. And then and responsive relationships. And we work very hard building those relationships. We do banking time, which is, I like to spend a lot of time in the beginning of the year, get the kids in, we chat, we sit down, all of us, we bank time with kids throughout the day. That way when they are struggling, and we go, come on with me, they'll come, and then there's that trust has been built. We have 1 times 10, so for 10 consecutive days, teachers spend at least a minute with a student and talk about anything, not school related. What do you love? What do you love to do? That's important. One part of what we do and we're proud of, building community, is really important. So I would love to invite you all to come in and just witness the climate and the culture of our building. We do have, we bring all the kids together right before a big vacation week, and we have sing-alongs, because we thought, what do kids love to do? They sing. You haven't lived until you've been in a room with 247 3, 4, or 5-year-olds singing "Oh McDonald." So it's a lot of fun. So our next one is either June 5th or June 12th. We'll send out an invite. Please come. Again, this fosters the climate, the culture, the community. The kids see the preschoolers see the kindergartners, which is really, really important. We also have Ruth Ann Lasciuto is a retired speech and language pathologist, and she has Zoe. So we worked it out that Zoe comes in every Friday. She comes in once a week, and she alternates between preschool and kindergarten. And Zoe has done an amazing job with our kids. Our kids from our other countries, our kids with on the autism spectrum disorder. It's amazing to see how they've related to Zoe, and our typically, our neurotypical children. They just love her, and she is just such a fabric of our school, and it's really wonderful. We also have a tier, no, so that's our tier 1. Tier 2, again, it's for kids who need more of a targeted social supports. They may need a social skills group, but it's important to say that the targeted social and emotional support, there could be a line between that too, because some of that is part of tier 1 as well. All of our students have access to our adjustment counselor, our school psychologist, myself. Any child can access. If they need more specific social skills group, then they move up to that next tier. And then, of course, we have our intensive intervention, and that's, data-driven. It's parents are involved. It's usually function-based. What's the function of the behavior, and do we need to develop a plan for that student? But a lot of our supports are embedded, and we want to keep those numbers low, that tier 3. So here's the targeted social emotional supports, and again, being embedded. I can't, I've been here 29 years, and this year it's really afforded. I love the model of really being part of the building, the culture of the building, all of us, and being in and out of those classrooms. It's so important to keep kids, regulated and learning and happy. So part of the tier 2 would be the social skills group. We do some check-ins, check-outs, reinforcement systems we have going. We do parent conferences. We do the 10 minutes, but if we feel we need to speak to a parent a little longer, they've come in for longer periods of time. And of course, when it's an intensive intervention, that's when we consult with parents, and we're in communication with those parents all the time. So again, all children, we profess that children do well if they can, Dr. Ross Green. We believe if they are not doing well, then what can we do to change that? How do we, the adults, adapt and make changes for our students? So they're worth every second. They're wonderful. Thank you, and again, come join us for our next sing-along.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know.
Hi, I'm Tracy Johnson.
Hi.
I'm the adjustment counselor. I've had the privilege of working at the Eston Early Childhood Center this year. It's my first year. The social, emotional, and behavioral supports that are known by all through all of the tiers, they meet the needs of all of the learners, and this includes both PBS and Second Step. And at times when they need to go up to the tier 2, the small group and individual interventions, they target the students who need support with things like trauma, loss, self-regulation, and social skills. When students receive social emotional supports, they're aligned with academic and their behavioral efforts. They fare better with academic achievement, positive behavioral, social behaviors and attitudes, and skills such as self-regulation and teamwork. Integrating the social emotional into the multi-tiered system shapes partnerships with families and community, highlighting engagement, trust, and collaboration. This year at Early Childhood Center, we've had 32 students who are known to have trauma. These traumas are identified as neglect, witness to domestic violence, loss of a parent, removal from the home by DCF, and other traumas that the parents have reported to us. So these are just the ones that we know of, not the others that we don't know of. 21 of those are kindergarten students.
So our school psychologist couldn't be here. She's taking a course tonight. But after all of our collective efforts in doing these multi-tiered systems of support, there may be times when we do need to make a referral for a student to be tested, just to see if we can find out more and look through a different lens. So we also have referrals that come from different places. So by the end of this school year, 24 kindergarten students will be evaluated. This will include 3-year evaluations from the preschool, so they may have come into kindergarten with an IEP that was generated from early intervention. For instance, we had a student who graduated from speech and language pathologist 2 weeks ago, and that's because he came in with no language and not speaking at all. And through all of the efforts in the early intervention of the speech and language pathologist, the student is successful. You wouldn't even know now, and he has exited from an IEP. Parents were so pleased. 4 students were eligible for 504 plans based on a disability, and 2 students required a DCAP. They needed additional accommodations in the classroom. So we supported them with a written DCAP so that everyone knew the accommodations that work best for that child. And 9 kindergarten students will have annual reviews, and we'll see if their IEP services need to continue or adjust, or they may graduate as well. So that is basically what we, as Eston, have become. We really work on community partnerships. We worked with the library. The dog officer came 2 weeks ago. We gave him donations for needy families in the community for feeding their dogs. We have a connection with Self-Help, which is out of Brockton, and they're going to do a kindergarten boot camp at Readiness Boot Camp at the library, and we've worked with the librarian, and all the children received library cards this year. And we got donations from great businesses in town: Sullivan Tire, Montelio's Bakery, the Taco Guy, Stop and Shop, Stevie G's, and we were able to create indoor play centers for the kids, because we have so many kids that need indoor recess at the same time or different times, but we were able to create different places for them to play. So it's been fun. So these are some of our fun things. So Stop and Shop created that supermarket, and then they just have so much fun. That's up on the stage. And then these are just some of the fun things we've done. So it's been a great year, and we're really proud of ourselves, and we're proud of our kids. So thanks for listening to us. I know it was long.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Do we have any questions before the ladies leave us, ladies? Any thoughts?
No real questions, but just wanted to say thank you to all that you guys do, the rest of your staff. It's such an important age. I'm getting teary because I know a lot of you. So it's just, wonderful to see where this is actually going to go as well. I'm always forward thinking of, this is your first year and look at how much you guys have accomplished. So it'd be quite interesting to see those that started this year in preschool, the 3-4-year-olds, how they progress into kindergarten and into the school system. So kudos to you guys. And we will come visit. I've been meaning to do that, but didn't.
I owe Emily.
Me too.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Thank you.
It is, I will comment quickly though, it is shocking to see the high number of students on services like that are either English language learning or IEPs or just any other, I guess, services that you can provide. So the numbers are shocking, so I'm kind of
And it starts
surprised.
younger and younger.
Yeah.
So it starts at the EI referral, so they're seeing it at that level, and then we're obligated to test, and then that filters into the larger classroom if they don't come off before kindergarten, so it definitely is trending in that direction,
Right.
which is.
But then also the
concerning.
early intervention will reduce those numbers because they're getting their needs met. And when their needs are met, then they're going to be able to learn and grow.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at every lens to see what they need, providing that to them, and then hopefully they're going to be successful as they move into first grade.
Right, and hopefully they can get off an IEP, not all students, of course, but some, because as we know, special education costs are on the rise, so.
Right.
I think it just makes it go up. I'm speaking from experience from having a child with a 504 who's now graduating this year, that just the difference in how they get that help and they get that fostering and that love in the beginning, how then they become grown people that grow out of it and they don't need it, and they've learned the tricks to be able to manage themselves without needing all of these extra things. So it does matter when you start when they're that little. You're just teaching them how to grow up and be that way, rather than get big and then now needing to backtrack and figure it out. So it does, it matters.
I do have one other question. I guess it is on the ELA portion. Are we seeing a vast variety of languages, or is it mainly Portuguese, Spanish? So I think we see that in the entirety of the district, but I was just curious if that lens was changing to be more robust.
Languages,
Yeah.
but
It's still mainly, okay. Yeah, and I guess that probably changes how the staff develops and what they are focusing on from a PD perspective, in order to, in essence, learn second and third and fourth languages and stuff, so, okay.
Thank you for all you do. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
to old business with a Phelps update.
The only update I have is there is a scheduled meeting tomorrow at 5 PM on Zoom.
Great, thank you. On to the FY25 budget update.
Just a fairly brief. We are waiting for the House of Representatives budget to come out. It did come out. We were hopeful that we would see a substantial change in Chapter 70, maybe something in their formula. We did not see that. They simply increased the per pupil amount, resulting in Rockland receiving an additional $162,000. That does not close our gap. We unfortunately now are proceeding with our reduction plan. We have to reduce our payroll costs by approximately $1.6 million heading into next year. We are accomplishing this in a number of ways. We are doing a whole lot of reorganization. When people retire or leave, we are figuring out whether or not we can live without that position, so attrition. And then we also are going to move into a layoff period now. So by May 1st, we will meet and notify all staff who will be affected by that. I think it's important for everyone to understand how difficult this process is. This is the first time, I've been here 12 years, that we've had to reduce, lay off. We've never had to lay off. So it's very, very difficult. We are doing it very thoughtfully, I like to use the word surgically, because we are trying not to affect the classrooms. We're trying not to affect some mandatory services that we have to provide through special education. We have a contract to abide by with regard to RIF language and how people are cut. So we may cut a position, but that person bumps here, who bumps here, who bumps here, and you end up. So I would like to be able to tell everyone exactly who this is going to affect, but I cannot do that at this time. But we will be meeting with those people prior to May 1st and notifying them. The one other thing to mention about this budget is we're cutting $1.6 million in staff, but we're also using $1.7 million in one-time money, non-recurring revenue that we have saved up. We will not have that to contribute to next year's budget. So as we look at this year's budget, we are also looking forward to FY26 and trying very hard to avoid a layoff yet again. All this is happening at a time when needs are rising. So I like to be able to put a positive spin on just about everything we do, but I can't. There's nothing positive about this. It's just not, it's not positive. I don't want to suggest that anyone be angry with anyone. I think the state is short on money. We've gone through that. The Chapter 70 formula I have questions about. But if I did have one area of concern, it's the federal government communicating with the state. That does not seem to be happening effectively, and I think it's affecting cash flow, particularly with regard to transportation and things like that. So the Senate budget will come out in May. It could change things. They could come through with some additional funding. They could make changes to Chapter 70, then goes back to the governor and they come out with the final budget. But I have to say, reading the tea leaves, I do not see it happening at this time. We're going to continue our advocacy and working, to let the state know how this is affecting our schools and our towns. So that's all I have on the budget update. We're cutting $1.6 million worth of staff. Those are real people. We are not handing out pink slips to anyone who isn't actually going to be laid off. I know there's some approaches where districts will hand out 40 and really only intend to cut 12 or 13. We're not doing that. This is real. We're being very transparent because we feel that's the best way to handle this in the most respectful way. So I don't know if there are any questions about the budget.
I just wanted to add that we are doing this very thoughtfully. very intentionally. We're trying to really make it to be the best of sort of both sides of the scenario, best for what we have for these students. You just heard the needs of the population of the students. That's not just in preschool and kindergarten. It's all throughout the school. We are trying to do what's best for the faculty that is left in the building to make sure that the building is safe and that learning is going on in the best scenario possible. We value these people. They're people. They're not just numbers on a piece of paper. They're actual people. We're proud of them. We are not happy that we have to let them go. So I just wanted that to be expressed as well, that we do feel this. We've been carrying it for weeks now, and I just think that you out there should understand it is not taken lightly, and it is something that gets us, but it is something that we have to do. We do have to function in a balanced budget. We do have to pay the bills at the end of the night, and so this is where we are. So that's all I had to add.
Just want to add two things I thought of while you were talking. One is I'm very appreciative of our collaboration and partnership with the town and the Finance Committee and Doug Lapp, Town Manager, and the Board of Selectmen. Everyone has been very supportive. They are helping us with everything they have. I would also like to again thank Jane Hackett and her team, because if we hadn't done the things we've been doing over the last 3 years, we've been talking about this moment for 3 years. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about it. We had this budget balanced about a month before the governor came out with her budget. Mm-hmm. We had it balanced, and unanticipated special education costs, rises in transportation, are 185% in the increase of a cost of transportation for out of district. You can't. It sounds like a number we're making up, but we're not. These are real bills that we have to pay.
Right.
So, back to thanking those who have worked so hard, so that we are. It's not good, but it would be a whole lot worse had we not so carefully taken care of the budget over the past number of years. So as bad as it is, I know it would be worse if we hadn't really been on top of it. So again, hopefully by the time we start school, there's movement, there's increased money. But if not, we have to go ahead with this plan. So that's where we are today.
Thank you, Dr. Cron.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? No? Okay. We'll move on to new business for the 2024-2025 school calendar for approval. First reading, Dr. Cron.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would want to point out is September. Normally, what we do at the start of school, and it's actually in the teacher's contract, that they have the Friday, I think, before Labor Day, right? Mm-hmm. They have the Friday before Labor Day, so that would be the 30th off. We have an election day on the 3rd, which is a Tuesday. So if we took that Friday off, it'd be a 5-day break after only being in school for 2 days. That didn't make sense. So we've had some conversations with the union. We will come to do a sidebar agreement so that we can forego that Friday off. So we would start with our PD on the 26th, Monday the 26th of August. Tuesday, the 27th, would be our 2 opening days for faculty and staff. Then kids would come on the 28th, so they would have 28th, 29th, and 30th, 3 days of school, and then a 4-day break. So that's really the only difference. Normally we surround that weekend with Friday and Monday off, but this is a little different. There's no substantial increase to PD time. We're very careful around testing months and vacations, and trying to be very thoughtful of parents' schedules and work and all of those things. So we feel very good about the calendar for this year. Jane?
Just one other addition from last meeting when we reviewed it. We did add in, Mrs. Davidson, the 1st and the 2nd of April for preschool testing.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good catch.
So I just wanted to add in as well that a lot of what we do here for the schedule, it's not like we just sort of look at the schedule and pick the days off. A lot of what we have in the contracts with the teachers and the faculty. And we, as school committee, voted that we are not open on election days on purpose because of the safety of the students, to have the public driving in our parking lots, walking into our schools that are not secure. So that is why we're closed on every election day. I think that some of these things we look at and we understand, and I just thought those couple of things, people out there that might be new to the district or with younger families not understand why we're off these sort of days, that other school districts around us are not closed on election days and things like that.
I think that goes to the same for professional development half-days or first and third Thursday, for the most part.
for the most
Where, barring schedule, in the way months fall, which, calendar changes, goes forward one day every year, right? So,
Yeah.
so just the way the months fall is slightly different. I think one other thing that I noticed, there has been a reduction in the half-days for parent-teacher conferences. I think that is hopefully helpful for folks. They're now, I think, full days for only one half-day instead of 2 half-days in March and stuff like that. So I think that hopefully will help parents on schedules as well.
All right. Any other thoughts, questions? No?
And this is the first reading, so this will be posted and we can get feedback, right? Is that usually how we?
Do a first reading
Yeah,
and then do a
first
second.
reading and then-
Sure.
Yep. Okay. All right, we'll move on to fundraisers for approval. We have SGC is going to sell class T-shirts with a to-be-determined date. SGC is Student Government Council in the high school.
Motion to approve?
And second.
All those in favor? That's a vote. And now back to you, Dr. Cron. I've been passing it back to you all night.
Yay.
Superintendent's report.
I only have one thing. Welcome to the school committee. I think it's fascinating that you were a school employee and I was a superintendent and now I work for you. It's fascinating how it works. Isn't that amazing? You were a student 1 year before I came as principal. Now I work for you. It's amazing.
Here we are. Watch out, it's full circle here in Rockland, full
Listen.
circle.
Everybody has a boss. Yeah, everybody has a boss.
All right, is that all you have?
That's all I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't want to cut you off.
Mhm.
We'll go to public service announcements. We'll start with Hope. She's got nothing.
Just came from tennis.
How was tennis?
Right,
Yeah,
how
was it
was
good?
tennis?
Oh, sorry.
Did you come all the way from Middleborough? Is that where you were today? That was a long ride to come running in.
The bus makes it longer too, so.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming running in, being here with us. Sorry you lost. We're going to start with you, Mrs. Bissonette. Welcome. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm excited to be here. It's nice to have a different perspective. I had your daughter, I had your son. You graduated with my daughter. I'm a lifelong resident of Rockland, and like I said, I really believe in the system. So
Wonderful.
hopefully I can give back.
Very glad to have you.
And how long were you a teacher for?
34 and a half years.
Oh, kudos to that right there, right?
Yay.
Thank you. That's impressive.
Amazing.
Shows longevity.
Still smiling.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming back to retired.
No, I do miss the kids, though. I miss the kid part of it, listening to them
Yeah.
talk. That's the part that I miss.
Yeah. Well, the fun part of sitting at this table is it's not just this table. If you want to start getting involved into the schools, you certainly can go right
And
in.
Jan's already invited me.
Yeah.
so- Yeah.
All right. Well, on to you, Emily.
I have nothing to add.
Okay. Jamie?
Just a reminder, Art Festival is next week on May 1st and 2nd, I believe. And always a good time, district-wide. Go check out the elementary school art projects all the way up to advanced AP art in the high school. It's really amazing. So, welcome, join us. There's a whole calendar of activities. That's it.
All right. I want to thank you for voting for me again. This is my third term. I think only 300 people in the town showed up to vote because there were no contested races. So Michelle and I are here to join you. So I appreciate that, and thank you to you ladies for voting me in as the chair again. I appreciate your support. I look forward to serving you. So that's all I have to add. Welcome, Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Motion to adjourn?
And second.
All those in favor?
That's a wrap.
Yay.